Hey, good morning. Good morning, good morning. This is Tuesday Talks at 10:30. And I am Stacy Niedenthal. There we go. Just wanted to make sure I could see comments there, but let me know if you're here. See my messy desk back there. But this is a time when I come to you every Tuesday at 10:30. Let me pull this back maybe. I talk to you every Tuesday at 10:30, and we talk about grief, we talk about death and dying, we talk about meditation, we talk about mediumship, wholeness, balance, coming back home. So let me know if you're on. Just say hi so I know that you're here. Feels like my head is being cut off a little bit there. Technology, right? All right, well, I have my little guy. He said he's promised he's going to behave today, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm seeing the comments down here. Hello, Mary Jo. Hello, Ellery. Hello, Karen. Hey, Sue. Good morning. So today is Tuesday Talks at 10:30. If this is the first time that you've been on, put a 1 so that I can personally welcome you. But we gather together every Tuesday and we just have a conversation. I bring you into my reading room basically with my pups. Hopefully this pup will be good. Welcome, Jessie. Welcome, Mary Jo. Welcome, Ellery. So we do have some new people. Welcome, Jessie. Let's see. So we have all kinds of people that are on today, so that's great. And today we're going to talk about grief and the misunderstandings and the myths of grief. So this is something that I do every Tuesday at 10:30, like I said, where we just have a moment and we chat about things that maybe you are not real comfortable chatting about with other people. This is really bothering me. So let me just see. Hold on. Let me just see if I can just move this a little bit. All right. Technology, eh? Well, all right. That's a little better. That's a little better. It felt like you were seeing me from here down. But good morning, everyone. Good morning. Like I said, if this is the first time you've been on, put a 1 so that I can personally welcome you either here on the show or later I will send you a welcome. I wanted to talk today about grief and the myths and the misunderstandings of it. Now, before I start, I like to set a small intention so that you know who I am and what I'm about. And my name is Stacy, and I'm a child of God. I am an evidential medium, and I've been given a gift from God to channel spirit using love and light for my higher good and the higher good of those that God puts in my path. I'm not the medium that says I see death all around you and you're going to be dead in 10 days. My gift, my prayer is that God, that spirit, that angels bring in the most loving message to help your spirit heal. So if you were to come to me for a reading, you would hear part of this intention, and then there's a little bit more that goes with that as well. Good morning, Christine. So I've been reading a book. It wasn't easy to say goodbye, and it is by Brooke Noel and Pamela D. Blair, and they are both PhDs. And I just wanted to talk to you about one of their chapters that I felt like it was very interesting. When I have clients who come to see me, a lot of times I get the same statements that are made after the reading. And a lot of these statements that are made are things that are in this book. And when I was reading about this and when I was thinking about it, I thought, man, I really need to talk about this. This is something that's really important, because the most brilliant part of our organs is also the part of our organs that mess with us the most. And that's the brain, that's the head, the mind, however you want to look at it. Because it tells us things that may or may not be true. And unfortunately, we tend to believe it. So I want to go through these myths. And before I do this, I wanted to, it's funny because before I went live, I was listening to music, and the Papa Roach song came on that says, it's called Help. And I thought, this is so much like what I'm going to talk about. And whether this is what Papa Roach was talking about or not, but I'm thinking like this is the mind that you're having this conversation with. So I want to read that first, and then we're going to start talking. So good morning, everyone. So it's called Help, and it's by Papa Roach. I think I need help. I'm drowning in myself. Did someone turn the lights out? Or is it just a dark cloud in my head? Because I'm cut deep. My heart won't beat. Deep down low, it's killing me. If I want to scratch out yesterday, I've got so much I need to say. I've got so much I need to say. I think I need help because I'm drowning in myself. It's sinking in. I can't pretend that I ain't been through hell. And I think I need help because I'm drowning in myself. They're preying on my weakness. Believe it. They're thinking to myself, no, not again. And I won't keep listening when temptation's creeping in. If I want to make another day, I've got so much to say. I've got so much to say. I think I need help because I'm drowning in myself. It's sinking in. I can't pretend that I ain't been through hell. I think I need help. I'm drowning in myself. I think I need help because I've put myself through hell. I think I need help because I've put myself. It's sinking in. I can't pretend that I ain't been through hell. I think I need help. So when I was reading this, when I was listening to it, I thought, my gosh, this is so much like what grief is. Because you drown within yourself. You think you need help. Do you always get help? No. And when it says they're creeping in, to me, that's those thoughts, those things that come into your mind that we tell ourselves, whether it's right or whether it's wrong. So chapter 4 in this book, I wasn't ready to say goodbye, talks about the myths and the misunderstandings of grief. And I thought it was interesting that there were 24 myths. I believe that there's probably more than that, but the ones she came up with were like, oh my gosh, I've heard these so many times in readings. So in sessions. And so it validated to myself that yes, our mind, our brain plays tricks on us. We don't really know where to go. So one of the myths are keep busy. It can lessen and eliminate grief. And when that was the very first one, I was like, holy crap, like she's talking directly to me. Because when something like this happens, when grief happens, I'm constantly doing, I'm busy with things. And I feel like it's my way to process what's going on. But then I'm thinking subconsciously, is my brain thinking if I keep busy, then it will help me to eliminate my grief. Because if I sit still, will I totally fall apart? So that's myth number 1, that keeping busy doesn't always lessen the grief. It may help you process it. It may help you work through it, but it won't lessen it. We need to walk through the grief when we lose a loved one. Another myth is, I think that I'm going crazy. It works until it's time for you to go to bed. Elaine, exactly. It works until it's time to go to bed. And then what? Then your mind goes out of control. So that leads me to myth number 2. I think I'm going crazy. You feel numb. You feel like you're in a daze. You feel like it's kind of clouded. Maybe you feel like you're walking in slow motion. You're just like, oh man, this is a dream, or is this a nightmare? And you're constantly waiting for the phone to ring and it be them, or them to walk through the door. It's trying to wrap your head around the loss of someone who was very close to you. And you do. I had a client the other day that said to me, I feel like I'm going crazy. Like, I can't believe that this has happened. So know that you're not going crazy. Know that, just like I said a minute ago, the most brilliant part of your organs in your body, the brain, plays so many tricks on you, and it constantly will spiral out of control. Sometimes you just have to, I'll tap myself on the forehead and go, all right, let's slow down a minute. Stop thinking that. Let's think about something else. But it's all in part of that processing of it. Another myth is, if I get angry at God, I'm a bad person. You're not a bad person if you get angry at God. God has a bigger plan, and we are not privy to that plan. unfortunately. So that is our lack of control out of what's going to be happening around us. We don't know when our final breath is going to be. We may have an idea if we are going through an illness. We may, what do you want to call it? You may feel like, something's going on, something's not right. But it's one of those things that, where was I at? If I get angry at God, I'm a bad person. It's one of those things that when you grow up and your parents tell you to do something, they tell you not to do something, and you get angry about it, or they take something away from you, and you get angry about it, your parents still love you. They still respect you. Ellery says, it's hard not to think about the person that you lost when you walk in their house and you know that they're not there anymore. Absolutely. It's that whole processing of the grief. It's working through it. We all grieve differently. One of the myths is that everybody grieves the same. No. We all grieve differently. And it's okay, like I said, it's okay to be angry at God. And I'll tell you something that I've never told anyone. And it always made me feel guilty that I felt this way or that I thought this way. But in reading this book, it helped me to kind of wrap my head around it and think, I was just a kid. When I was in, what was I, 4th or 5th grade? I think I was in 5th grade. And my grandmother passed away. And this was a grandmother that I was very close to. And I thought to myself, at this age, I wish it would have been my other grandmother. Not that I wasn't close with my other grandmother, but I wasn't as close to her as I was this one. And I felt guilty after thinking it and saying it, but it was still in my head. Why'd you take this one? Why didn't you take that one? And then as an adult, I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe I ever felt that way or ever thought that way. I was so blessed to have grown up with 2 grandmothers. One just happened to pass sooner than the other one. But I had some guilt in thinking, why did I even have that thought process? Why was I angry with God for taking the wrong grandmother at that particular time? So God understands. And like I said, God has a plan that we know nothing about. And there's a reason why people come in and go out of your life. But anger is an emotion that it is okay to go through. Just because God is that higher being, just because God is the ultimate knower of knowledge and the planner of truth, it's okay for you to have that human emotion and go, oh, I can't believe you did that. I'm so angry with you. Just don't stay angry at God. Work through it. But you're not a bad person if you get angry at God. Another myth is, I can only grieve for a year. That's long enough. You can't. Better later than never. Sorry, that's okay, Ronnie. I'm glad that you're here. Mary Jo says she always asks why. We always ask why. We want to know. Our human mind wants to know why. Why? Why did this happen? We were taught to problem solve all of our lives. Death, grief is one thing that we can't problem solve. So one of the myths were to put a timeline on grief. They tell you that you should make a decision for a year. So if you shouldn't make a decision for a year, should grief only last for a year? Excuse me a second. See my little rebel? Well, you know what? Grief is going to last longer than a year. Grief is going to continue through your life. Ellery said, well, that can mean that you have more time with the other grandmother. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it did. And I cherished the time that I had with my other grandmother. But in that time, I was angry. And like I said, I think I was in 5th grade. I was, angry that, why did you take this one? But as I got older, I cherished having my other grandmother as well. So going back to, I wanted to, try and answer some of the questions as well. So going back to putting a timeline on grief. I remember when my mom passed, I had a manager, and you've all heard me talk about this before. And it's funny when some of the for some of my passwords, I've changed this, of course, but you wouldn't know anyway. But some of my passwords, when it says that what's the secret question, and it says what's the name of your worst manager, she's the name that I put in there. So she said to me, my mom got sick in April and she passed in June. I didn't hit my quota in May. And she said, look, I understand why you didn't hit your quota in April with your mom and everything, but you need to get over this. And I remember looking at her and saying to her, my mother's dying. Like, if you want me to spend more time here or more time with my mother, you might as well fire me now, because I'm going to spend as much time as I can with her. And then after she passed, she was on me about, it's been 4 months, like you should be over this already. Or it's been 6 months. Why aren't you over this already? My mother was my mother for almost 50 years. She's been gone for 9, so I still have 41 years to mourn her. That's how I look at it. Grief gets easier and then it gets harder. And then it gets easier and then it gets harder. It comes in waves. So I do have very good days where I think of my mother and smile, and there's joy about that. And then there are days I think about my mother and, it breaks my heart. My Uncle Glenn, you guys hear me talking about him all the time. Uncle Glenn, oh my God, I adored this man. And there are some days that I think about him and I have such a big smile on my face. And then there's other days that I fall back into that morning when I first heard about his passing. So don't think that there is a specific timeline for grief. It will come in and it will go out. Hold on. So let's see here. My ex told me a month after my little brother died that I needed to get over it and be a wife, if you know what I mean. And I find that those who say things like that have, good morning, baby, my husband's not here. Hi. Mwah. But I find that people who say things like that have never lost anyone or have never come in touch with their own emotions about loss, especially when someone passes and it's such a shock, you weren't expecting it. And even if you were expecting it, like my mom was sick, they told me that they couldn't cure what was going on with her. Even though I knew that she was dying, when she did pass, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. That's what this whole book is about. I wasn't ready to say goodbye. So know that you will grieve for as long as you need to grieve. You will have days where you have fond memories of that person, and then you'll have days where you'll just miss them so much that you want to curl up in a ball and not do anything. So the myth is there is no timeline. Oh, it's been 365 days. All right, I'm okay now. No, it doesn't work that way. That's a myth, okay? Another myth is alcohol and medications will relieve my sadness. When my grandmother passed, they needed to put my mom on some medications because she was, I guess it was because of anxiety, and she wasn't sleeping well. And I know when she was going off of those medications, she had a fear of going off of them because then she thought all this was going to come back. The whole thing is you have to work through it. You have to work through it. Alcohol, medications, they don't help you through it. They may help a specific, especially with, prescribed medications. They may help you sleep better, or they may help you to calm down a little bit. But in the end, you need to walk through it yourself. Okay. Another myth is my family is turning away from me. I must have done something wrong. Heidi says, I'm still grieving 13 years. You will continue to grieve. They were a big part of your life. Allow yourself to miss them. So my family is turning away from me. I must have done something wrong. This one, slapped me upside the face. When my mom passed, everybody went away. Everybody was there for the funeral. Everybody was there for, before the funeral, after the right after the funeral. But after that, everybody went away from my sister and myself. Like, what the hell? And I realized a couple things. I realized she was the person that put everything together. So, picnics, dinners, things like that. She was that matriarch. So people would, come because of my mother. And then after she passed, I feel like no one knew what to say to us. And now it's been 9 years and they're, every once in a while they pop up and we'll see them. But you did nothing wrong. Either they don't know how to approach you, because what do you say to someone who just lost their significant other? I'm here for you, right? If you need me, call me. They're not going to call you. It's being there. It's doing things without asking. It's, just showing up. But you did nothing wrong. They're avoiding an awkward situation. And if for some reason, and this happens a lot, that the family splits because of the death of someone, then you have to know that people are put in your life for a reason, for a season, or for life. And the chapter of that person, that family member, that friend being in your life was brought into your life because of this person who has passed. So it is one of those things where now you have to grieve not only the passing of your loved one, but you're mourning the loss of family and friends as well. All right? Oh goodness. So another myth. Sorry, my dog's behind me. He must have heard something. Hopefully he doesn't start barking. So another myth is, if I grieve, I will get over it and I will forget them. The best way to face death is life. So allowing yourself to grieve, this is that human emotion. Remember I talked to you about that Papa Roach song, and there's that line that says, they're preying on my weakness, believe it. I'm thinking to myself, no, not again. And I won't keep listening when temptations creep in. I want to make it another day. And I feel as if those things that are creeping in, is if I allow myself to grieve, then I'm going to forget them. Then I'm going to get over it. I don't want to get over it. I lost someone important to me. And you're not alone in any of these thoughts. I mean, by a show of hands, put a hand up, or, the little hand emoji or something. How many people so far have gone through any of these myths and misunderstandings so far? Have you felt any of these things? Okay, I'm waiting to see. Because I know several of them I've gone through. And I know a lot of my clients have gone through these as well. Oh, there's Mary Jo. Fingers up. Thumbs up. Elaine, me. Yep. Oh, there we go. Look. We're not alone. We've all gone through these things. So it's there we go. More. It's these myths, these misunderstandings that our brain tells us, that other people tell us about grief. So what was I just talking? Oh, that if I allow myself to grieve, then I'm gonna forget. I'm gonna get through it. Do you feel guilty sometimes? Do you feel guilty because you have a good day? Do you feel guilty because you grieved? Why do you feel guilty? And that says, a lot of these I've been through and more. Absolutely, we all have been. We've all been through these things. A myth is, something is wrong with me if I'm stuck in replay. How many times do you go over and over and over in your head right before they passed, when they passed, things that you said to them, things that you wish you would have said to them, what you were wearing, when you went to the funeral home and you made the arrangements, what you did at the funeral, what you said at the funeral, the people who were at the funeral. The funeral to me is kind of a blur. I remember a lot of people who were there, but there's a lot of people, that I don't remember. And I've got the guest book, and a lot of times I'm thinking, I just want to look through that and see, how many people were there. And, it's been 9 years and I haven't done it yet. I haven't gone through it yet. One day maybe I will. But we replay it a lot in our heads. I mean, I can visualize waking my mother up when she was in the hospital, when someone would want to come and see her. because I felt, you know what? She's going to want to know that you're here. She's going to want to say goodbye. I don't want to say to you, oh, she's sleeping. I'm waking her up. She will sleep afterwards. And so many people said to me, oh, don't wake her up. And I'm like, no, 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 no. She would want to know that you're here. And I would just go in and go, Mom, so-and-so's here. And she would smile, and she might, maybe she fell asleep while she was, having a conversation. But I didn't want anyone to miss the opportunity to say something to her that they wanted to say. I didn't want her to miss the opportunity of seeing how many people showed up for her. What does it say? I feel my dad all the time, but sometimes I'm afraid to tap into what I don't know why. You know what? We all have that fear of the unknown. If you feel the presence of your father, and you don't have to do this, this is a suggestion. Just close your eyes, visualize him in your head, and start to have a conversation with him. That conversation you're having is with him. It's his essence that he's bringing to you. There's no reason to be afraid. Were you afraid of your father when he was alive? Don't be afraid. There's a misunderstanding. There's a myth that people think my loved one on the other side is mad at me or is upset with me. I wonder if they're proud of what I'm doing. Do they like the way that I did the funeral? Are they upset that I sold the house? Spirit does not have the same emotions that we have. They feel the energy behind your motives. They know that you did it in the most loving way possible for them. So that's another myth. So the guilt that we have inside ourselves, remember that line that I read to you? They're preying on my weakness. Believe it. Your mind's preying on your weakness of all that you shoulda, coulda, woulda. Because I'm drowning in myself. I'm sinking. I can't pretend that I ain't been through hell. Grief is hell. Losing someone is painful. And it drags you down, and it allows you to feel emotions that you don't want to feel. So it's allowing your brain, hold on, we have someone's long comment here. I replay not being able to be there when my mom passed because my car wasn't fixed yet. But a psychic friend told me that she didn't want any of us to be there. Exactly. Sometimes your loved ones will pass before you get there because they don't want you to witness that. They want to do it by themselves. My father-in-law was in Hershey Medical Center, and we were all there. We all got there to see him, and we were with him. And, little by little, and we were there all day, and we were, little by little, my kids had to go to work, or my nieces had to go to work, or, little by little, we all left. And my mother and my sister-in-law were the last ones there, and they left in the wee hours of the morning, and they barely got home when they got the phone call that he had passed. And knowing my father-in-law, he wouldn't want anybody to see that. And even my husband will say, I don't want you there when I pass. And I'm like, too bad. I'm going to be there. Or I'll say to him, I want you there with me. I want you to walk through this with me. We all have different ideas and different emotions of how we want to walk through the grieving process. Another myth is these types of things don't happen to my family. Well, guess what? Yes, they do. Whether it's addiction, whether it's suicide, whether it's murder, whether it's a car accident, a heart attack, whatever it is, these types of things happen to all of our families. They touch us all deeply. And the minute you think, well, it would never happen in my family, it's going to happen. And, when I do readings for my clients and people who have lost children, oh my God, it just tugs at my heart so much. I can't imagine losing my child or my grandchild. I cannot imagine outliving them, And when I think, people say, well, this doesn't happen in my family. I remember, and I know this is totally not grief, but it kind of is. I remember growing up, that there was 2 people in my family who had been divorced because divorce didn't happen in our family. And in school, we had one classmate whose parents were divorced because it just didn't happen back then. But then when my youngest daughter was in school, and I don't know what grade she was in, and she came to me, she says, Mom, I think I'm the only kid in my class whose parents are still together. It's thinking it will never happen to my family. It's that control, that protection that we try to put around our family. But things do happen. Bad things happen to good people, to good families. It happens. The world is so intrusive, and I'm going to use that word. I feel like that's the word that they're giving me. The world is so intrusive and plays prey on our mind that there are things that are in our control and there are things that are out of our control. But even the things that are in our control, for some people, they're out of our control. Does that make sense? I went through depression years ago. I couldn't control it. I understood suicide. I don't know that I was suicidal, and I always preface it that way, but then I think to myself, if I understood it, maybe I was, But it's those things that are out of our control. And it's saying, you know what? All types of things happen in all types of families, and we will all get through it together. Another myth is the final step of grief is acceptance. Okay. Well, let me tell you. I've accepted having lost my mother. I've accepted having lost friends and family members and my uncle. I've accepted it. But the grief period isn't over. It's not over at all. I went to after my brother passed, my mom read the book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. I still have her copy, and I read it after she got sick and passed. What a great book. If you have a specific book that you all want to recommend to those that are grieving, put it in my notes. Put it in here. I belong to several grief support groups on social media, and they're always recommending books. That's why I got this book. I wasn't ready to say goodbye because the book kept coming up, and I thought, this is something that I have to read. And it is written from a doctor's point of view, a PhD. So it has all of the medical nuances behind it, but it also has the human aspect behind it. Make sense? So don't feel as if once you've accepted the passing of your loved one, everything's going to be okay. I'm never going to feel bad again. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes. Recommend books. I am a reader. I am such a book snob, slut. I don't know how you want to call it. I have books everywhere. And I love to recommend books to other people. And a lot of times when I'm talking to someone, a book comes in my head. Oh my God, you need to read this book. So absolutely get as much information and as many different points of view as possible. If you don't agree with that point of view, that's okay. It's just someone's opinion. But know that acceptance doesn't mean it's over. Acceptance just means, okay, it's not this bad dream anymore. This is reality. And this is one step to me in the healing process. But these waves will come and they will go on and on and on and on and on. When my grandmother passed away, and like I said, I think I was in 5th grade. I'm pretty sure I was in 5th grade. Isn't that awful? But for the longest time, I could not hear the song, The Old Rugged Cross. Because at her funeral, the pastor, the officiant, I'm not sure what the proper term is, said that this was her favorite song, and he spoke the words. And I can still hear his voice inflection. And when we would be in church or we would be somewhere and we'd want to sing The Old Rugged Cross, I can remember my sister and my mother and I looking at each other and tears rolling down our face. Even years after she passed, this would still affect me. I had accepted that I lost my grandmother, but I still missed her. I still had memories of her. So these are only a few of the myths, the misunderstandings about grief. The biggest misunderstanding is that we all grieve the same way. There's a timeline on it. We all grieve different ways. Some people, wonder why they don't cry. They process it in a different way. When someone I love passes, or there's a tragedy or something, I go into defense mode. I'm the planner. I'm the one taking care of everyone. I want to make sure this is done. I need to help because everybody else is falling apart. After all of that is done, I fall apart afterwards. And I know that one of the myths we're keeping busy. How did it say it? Let's see. Keeping busy, I can lessen or eliminate my grief. So subconsciously, am I thinking, I have to do this, and this so that it's not true, so that I don't grieve? I don't feel that I do. I feel as if I go into defense mode because I want to take care of everybody else and make sure everybody else is okay. And then I will grieve or I will fall apart later when no one else is around. But subconsciously, is that what my mind is telling me? I don't know. I didn't tell you these things so that you would overthink them. I just tell you these things that, what is this? That's my grandma's favorite song as well. And she's been gone over 20 years and it still makes me cry. Absolutely. You're still grieving the loss of this loved one. You will always, they were a part of your life. They were a part of who you are. They are ingrained in your memories. My mom, blood of my blood, bone of my bone. She's part of who I am. How about the book, Many Masters, Many Lives? It really made me sure of the situations and feelings I haven't or had, because I know for a fact I've been here before. There are so many books. Yes, list the books. List the books. To me, books are just, it's that, I always think of my brain as like bubble wrap, And when I get a fresh idea or something else hits me, like one of those bubbles pop, like pop, like, oh my God, never thought of it that way. So, where was I at? I'm sorry, I lost my process. So, like I said, these are just a few of the misunderstandings, the myths of grief. Be easy on yourself. Do what you need to do for yourself. But like Papa Roach was saying, I think I need help. If you need help, ask. Reach out to someone for help. If you are a friend of someone who has lost someone, don't wait for them to ask for help. Be there. Show up with food or shoot them a text, hey, thinking about you, or, just show up at their house. You send flowers and a card and bam, wham, bam, and then it's one and done. But even, months after your loved one has passed. I remember after my mom passed, I got a card from my cousin a year after she passed. And the card was just like, thinking of you today. She remembered, she had written down, whatever, the anniversary of my mom's passing, and thought to send me a card to let me know I wasn't alone. Lisa, thanks so much for this. I really needed this. Tomorrow is the anniversary of my dad's 5-year anniversary. Everyone send hearts to Lisa. We're all thinking of you. We're all praying for you. And I remember the 5-year anniversary of my mom. For some reason, it was more difficult than the first one. I guess I was like, oh my God, it's 5 years. I have 9 years coming up in June that she's been gone. Like, how can that freaking be? How can she be gone 9 years? Like, it's hard for me to wrap my head around that. So let's see some hearts. There we go. There we go. We've got hearts. So I just wanted to, and if And it's funny, of course, you know, that I'm quoting Papa Roach. I guess I should really look to see what the song is about. But for me, when I heard this before I went live, I thought, you know what, I need to pull those lyrics up and read it because it's what the mind does to us. You know, I think I need help. I'm drowning in myself. What is grief? You're drowning in yourself. Through the thoughts, through the tears, you're drowning in yourself. Did someone turn the lights out, or is it just because there's a dark cloud in my head? Doesn't it feel like when someone passes, someone turned a light switch off? You're like Eeyore, there's this little dark rain cloud that's following you around. Because I'm cut deep, my heart won't beat. Deep down low, it's killing me. I want to scratch out yesterday. I did not want that day to happen. And the day after it happened, I thought, I want to go back 2 days and talk to her more and pretend like I knew the day that she was going to pass so that I could get all my words out to her. But I wasn't able. I've got so much I need to say, right? You didn't get to say goodbye, or I didn't get to apologize, or we didn't leave on a very good note. You know, there were so many things that I should have said. I get so busy in my life that I didn't do this or I didn't do that. I had so many things that I needed to say. I think I need help because I'm drowning in myself. It's sinking in. The reality, it's sinking in. I can't pretend that I'm not being, I can't pretend that it ain't been through hell. Losing someone, it rips your heart out. I think I need help because I'm drowning in myself. They prey on my weakness. Believe it. Your thoughts, your minds, when you go to sleep at night, you know, you can keep busy all day, but your thoughts creep in at night. Or, you know, all of a sudden you're out and about. See my little guy? He came out from hiding. He likes to sit behind my back. So it is allowing yourself to, what's preying on your weakness? Well, what preyed on my weakness is the crap that I put my mom through when I was a kid. Oh my God, I broke her heart so many times. Oh, there he goes. But you know what? She loved me anyway. So that's where I had to go with that. I'm thinking to myself, no, not again. And to me, that's, you know, the loss of someone else, or that's, you know, your head. They always say the loss comes in threes. And I hate that. Because when someone passes, then you're like, oh, who's next? And when then the second one passes, you're like, oh, who's, you know what? When someone passes, I think to myself, that's it. No one else. No one else is allowed to pass. Nope, it's not going to come in threes. I'm not going to allow it. And it won't keep, and I can't, and I won't keep listening to the temptations creeping in if I want to make it another day. The temptations creeping in, I can't get out of bed. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to be alone. That's okay for 1 or 2 days. But if you're going on weeks, months, years, it's time to like get out of bed. It's time to get help. And then it goes on to say, you know, that I'm drowning in myself. So I feel like when I wanted to talk about grief, because grief is not an easy thing to talk about because we don't all grieve the same way. And I swear to God, I wanted to slap every single person that said, your mother's in a better place. No, she's not. If she was, I'd be with her. I know she's with God. I know she's with the angels. I know her pain is gone. But the selfish part of me said, quit saying that. We all grieve differently. We all drown in ourselves. We all feel numb. We all feel like we're going crazy. We all get angry at God. We all get angry at the person for leaving us. We all, you know, get stuck in replay. We all think, oh, I've accepted it, so things need to be okay now. It's all the same, but it's all different. So, let me just see what some of the comments are here. I yelled at someone who said that BS line to me, right? Right? Thanks everyone so much. Oh, for giving Lisa hugs and hearts. May 20th is 19 years that we lost my little brother. My daughter was exactly 1 month old that day. right? There's those memories that keep coming up. That's a book. Yeah, please, put books down here. Together we can help each other. And that's why I come every Tuesday at 10:30 to talk to you, because I want this to be a safe space to talk about things you don't want to talk about. I mean, seriously, I do, but seriously, are you comfortable talking about grief? Do you talk about death and dying? That's not something that you can just, over the dinner table, you can say, so let's talk about when I die. Here's what I want you to do. And it's not an ongoing conversation that you have. But this thought process on Tuesday Talks at 10:30 to help you go through grief, to help you think you're not alone or know that you're not alone. I don't want to say think that you're not alone. You're not alone, because I had several hands that say, yep, I felt this. And I only listed a couple. They had 24, and I feel like there's more. But this book is so, it talks about relating to others and dealing with weddings afterwards. And then how, it says helping children deal with grief. Infancy to 2 years, 2 to 6, 6 to 9, because it's a thought process that, someone who's 2 years old may not, understand grief. And I swear to you, and I'll say this and then I will scurry off. I'm not sure how old I was when my Poppy died. We always called him Poppy. I think I was about 3. I was 2 or 3 years old. And I have some very vivid memories of my Poppy. Not a lot. I remember the pants and the white shirt. But my most vivid memory of him was he would climb up into an apple tree and he would get us apples, and, my sister and I would be, watching him or whatever when we would be at his house. But he picked apples. My grandmother loved to make apple pie. And I, honest to God, until I was probably, you're going to laugh, I'll bet you till I was like 20 or 30 years old did I come to the realization that I was like, my last memory of my Poppy was him climbing up in that apple tree. And I just thought he just climbed his way up to heaven. And then all of a sudden I was like, I don't even remember, like, how did Poppy die? What went on with that? Because I had rationalized in my head, and maybe somebody told me, I don't know, that he climbed up the apple tree and he just kept on going, like Jack and the Beanstalk. And he just climbed up to heaven. So young kids do process death. They do understand it more than what we think that they do. And they do grieve as well. So I highly recommend, I wasn't ready to say goodbye, to just kind of give you some aha points or some talking points. There's things in here about losing children, and it's a very good book that shouldn't have had to be written, because we shouldn't have to deal with death. But we do have to deal with death, because every single day that we live is one less day that we're going to live, right? It's one more day closer to our passing. So with that, it is always my prayer that you are living the life you love and that you're loving the life you live. If not, you, my friend, are the only one that can change it. So I hope you have a great and wonderful day today. Prayers out to those who are grieving. Know that our hearts are with you. And I will talk to you next Tuesday at 10:30. Peace out. I love y'all. And I will see you soon. Bye-bye.